Classrooms across America bracing for a major challenge because you've got tens of thousands of children who crossed the border, the southern border, as illegal aliens this summer. So now it's school time, and there's a surge of new students that are threatening to bust the budgets of cities and towns in nearly every state. So Dan Springer is live in Seattle with this. What is the cost to the states and the impact on the rest of the communities?
Well, Martha, as you can imagine, it's not going to be cheap. We kind of know how many of these unaccompanied minors are in the country and what states they went to, so we have a pretty good idea how much it's going to cost to educate them for 1 year. According to a report done by the Federation for American Immigration Reform and obtained first by Fox News, the tab will be $761 million for this school year alone. State and local governments pay 90% of that. But we're already hearing about calls from Arizona and Miami-Dade County in Florida for the federal government to pay the full cost since it's been so slow to hear the asylum deportation cases.
Unchecked, unregulated immigration is increasing cost and reducing the quality in American classrooms, and that should be an alarm bell to every mom and dad across the country who has a kid in K through 12.
And studies show it costs up to twice as much to educate a kid new to the country who speaks no English than your average American student. Martha?
So how are these districts, which are cash-strapped, as we've talked about, how are they going to handle it?
Well, it's going to be tough. You know, there's already a shortage of qualified bilingual teachers, and that shortage just got a lot worse. School budgets were cut across the country since the recession. In fact, 35 states still are spending less per student than they did in 2008. Another report says the average age of a K through 12 school building in the country is 44 years, and half are in need of repairs. But immigration rights groups say the country has an obligation to educate these kids, and money should not be a problem.
We're one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We should be able to handle this if we focus some energy and some resources, and we make sure that, you know, kids are treated well and treated the way that we in America believe kids should be treated.
37,000 unaccompanied minors crossed into the country, mainly from Central America, and now they are coming to a school near you. Martha?
Dan, thank you very much. Big story.
Want to pick up the debate now, Martha, with David Webb, a radio talk show host for Sirius XM Patriot, Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio talk show host, and both are Fox News contributors. Good day to both of you. Now, more than $700 million for education. You have other expenses like health care and what else comes down the line. David, what to do?
Well, Bill, first of all, the liberal elitists who are pushing this policy, Barack Obama and his supporters, they don't have these kids in their schools. This is partly a socioeconomic issue. These children will end up in poorer schools, typically in already really stressed neighborhoods, as Dan Springer talked about. So it's both a cost and a resource issue. So they push the policy. In America, you get it. They're going to have to hit the property tax owners eventually. That is the funding model for schools all across the country. The money has to come from somewhere. So for those of you that own homes, that own condos, you will pay for it.
And you'll pay in states like New York and Texas and Florida and Leslie in your state of California, as Dan just pointed out. Those are the states that hit the hardest. What to do?
Well, quite frankly, I don't have a problem with the federal government, chipping in. 90% for the states is a heavy burden. Living in California, and I know David's living in one of the other states, New York, I don't have a problem with paying more, and here's why. These children are children. Many of them don't even know that they've broken the law. These children are in backlogs up to 4 years that could be changed by the federal government, by Congress. This is not about liberal elitists. This is about abiding by laws that are on the book that could be changed from 2008. That legislation could be changed and more money could be put into the system so that there are more judges hired so the children can be gone through the system
Leslie,
quicker.
you're willing to pay more money, right?
Absolutely.
Where does it stop?
Well, yeah, again, you have to look at the laws on the books and change them. The reason these children have to wait 4 years is we don't have enough judges and others in the system right now. In addition to that, these are not children coming from border states. Maybe that needs to be changed in the legislation. And Congress, not liberal elitists, Congress, both left and right, in the House and the Senate, they have the power to change this, and they're not doing it. If we don't put these children in schools, guys, what do we do? I don't mind the devil's workshop. I'd rather these kids be in school.
I love you, but you're not answering the question. Where does it come from? If the federal government
the question was, where does it stop?
Yeah.
And where does it end? And David, I'll give you a chance to answer this, but you have to ask yourself, what's fair? You know, what's fair to the taxpayer? What's fair to the teachers? What's fair to the kids?
What's fair to the people who have to pay for this, including, by the way, Bill, the question you ask is, where does it stop? Where does it start? Federal government doesn't have money. The taxpayers have money the government taxes away that could be used for other things like, veterans and other issues. Where does it stop? It doesn't stop. And Leslie's wrong. Judges aren't being housed in a warehouse somewhere where they can pull them out and put them to work. The system is not ready for this. And we go back to resources. These children have to be fed. That means food has to be bought. That means food service has to increase. If they have to take a bus to school, the buses are already full. So the American people will pay the cost for the Obama policies of open borders and those who support it.
Leslie?
We have had open borders since the inception of this country. There's a beautiful lady standing closer in a harbor to you than I, David. That hasn't changed. And until we build a wall around this country, which I don't agree.
Come on, you're deflecting from the real issue.
David, I love you, but you're killing me here. You know, 6 of the children that were deported to the murder capital of the world, Honduras, were murdered. And it costs, by the way, to deport children. It costs to detain them, and it costs to educate them. So where do we put the money? Where do we get the money? It's the same question, whether they're deported, they're detained, or they're educated. And that costs money too, David.
Here's the problem, and Leslie's right about this,
Make
Bill.
it quick, David. We got to run. And her point about Congress acting or not acting is well taken as well. Go ahead, David, quickly.
The Wilberforce Reauthorization Act needs to be dealt with. She's right about that. The problem is that the Obama administration has used this to advance their goal of balkanizing this country so the problem stays but never gets resolved, and it's all about votes in November.
All right, David, thank you. Leslie, thanks to you as well. Leslie Marshall, California. David Webb here in New York City. Thanks to both.